Chill.
Welcome back to VFX and Chill, the show where we take apart Hollywood visual effects and try to put them back together again live without any method of preparation whatsoever. I lied. There's a tiny bit of preparation, but please don't set your expectations that high. Speaking of, I'm Seth Worley, and I'm here with my good pal, Danny Hashimoto. Hashi, how are you, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing very well, Seth. I'm, just an exciting week of doing no prep. That's not true.
It's not true. We actually did a lot of prep, and I don't remember any of it. Like, I literally don't remember how to do any of the things that we figured out how to do this week. So
that's perfect,
this should be
we're
fun.
going to pass these learnings on to you, hopefully. So,
speaking of learnings, please welcome the smartest person to be on our show, Michael Zalapsky. How are you, sir?
Michael.
Oh, I am swell, though I would argue the smartest descriptor. But I'm doing well. Just hanging out here. All is gold where I am.
Michael, I cannot make sense of your setting right now because it's like you're on a black cyc, like a void, but then right on the cusp, on the right side of it, you've got this weird, almost like a masking
like a
issue.
Balcony, maybe. I'm gonna pretend it's a balcony overhanging, a huge atrium.
Yeah. You can imagine whatever you would like.
Oh, thanks.
This is open for creative interpretation.
Amazing. Well, also open for a creative interpretation are the physics laws inside a computer program, and that is what we are exploring today. How was that?
Also open to interpretation is science. Welcome to our megacast.
A bad segue, which is
really cool. No, that's my stage name. Bad segue. Wait, do we have a show plan somewhere that
we do? If you it's in the canvas of shot ideas is where it is.
Right.
But if you saw the description of our show, we are here to talk about vehicles in Cinema 4D and specifically figuring out how to rig vehicles so they can do stuff. Because, it's one of the many things that people may need to animate over time. And we thought we would try to do a general overview. There are some really lovely tutorials that get into the specifics of any of the versions that we're going to try today, but we sort of wanted to explore all of them to try to get a flavor for what we like the best.
Yeah, I'm excited because I know that car rigs are a thing that we've maybe touched on before on the show and never quite figured out the right way to do it. And we had some help this week to figure out the right ways to do it, and we figured out some wrong ways to do it. We'll go over all of them. Real quick, though, if you are in the chat right now and you're like, this is quiet, why is no one here? You're probably on the wrong channel. We do stream to all the Maxon channels as well, but the main channel you want to be on for the most fun is going to be on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@VFXandChill, which you gotta subscribe. You just gotta. You got no idea what you're missing out on. It's truly a treat, and we demand it. So go subscribe to our channel. And
let me know that you can still hear me. I messed with one random setting on here.
I can hear you.
Cool. I'd assume that everyone can hear me then. Lovely.
So here's what's fun. Hashi, I'm looking at the thing that we have for today, and the first thing on the list is very exciting and fun. Real quick though, I do think it's funny that you and I have both gone out of our way to remind each other and ourselves we're going to be more chill this year. We're going to have more of a vibe, less of a shock jock radio host vibe in the way we talk to the camera and host this show. And the second we start the show, whoever talks first goes, hey, welcome to VFX and Chill. I'm Hashi and I'm Seth. And I did it again today, and I apologize.
And I always follow it.
I have no idea what triggered that, but
CC ball action.
CC ball action.
Yeah.
We are nothing like morning radio, Seth.
Nothing. We are distinguished high class. Hashi, speaking of high class, show me what you made this week.
Oh, I would love to show you what I made this week. If you want to flip on over to my screen, you'll see some other things that flip, these little flippers. I love unified physics systems in general. And in fact, Cinema 4D has been developing some really, really cool unified physics. This build happens to not be using the new system. This is a demonstration of something that you could do with the old system, but I want to be able to expand into our new one because it introduces new forces. What is this, you might ask? Hopefully visually it reads as what it is. It's a pinball machine, and it's a self-playing pinball machine.
What?
That look at that here. It's using just a handful of fun little things that you can build and set up right in Cinema.
What's the Criterion logo in the middle?
Itself. This is the Criterion Collection pinball machine. It's the kind of to represent simplicity, but
it's all the
high
films
quality.
too. If you look, there's a reference to I Am Yellow Part 1 or whatever that's called. There's a reference over here to the Michel Gondry collection. But it's also minimalist at the same time. What happens when balls go into the Criterion Collection? Is there a specific action? What's the deal?
You know what? There used to be, and I've disabled it for ease of simplicity of read here. But what I have here is kind of fun. It's obviously an inclined plane and a bunch of little things that the balls can collide with on their way down here. Michael Paulag says it looks like CC pinball action, which is exactly
CC
correct.
ball action.
Apparently that does it too.
Why didn't we theme this?
Sorry, Hashi, I just saw one of our own got tagged by a car on their bike. Frigby Chillweather apparently got knocked off his bike by a car door earlier, like Tom Cruise style. Glad you're okay, or hope you're okay, and like prioritized your health and safety over VFX and Chill.
Goodness.
Good to see you here and alive, Frigby.
Good to see you, Frigby. Goodness. Wow.
Anyway, sorry, Hush, continue. Criterion automatic pinball.
This obviously should have been CC themed. I can't believe it's not. It's just there's just the one. I even have one C in the middle of it. How did I do this? Hey, wait a second. Hey, look at that. It's done. Now it's the Coco Chanel.
Coco Chanel action.
Oh, wait. I've got to grab these axes when they're pointed in the right direction. There we go. Oop. Excellent. So a lot of little things going on behind the scenes, but this sort of got us to thinking about what are systems that you can set up that make use of all of the cool features in Cinema 4D, the physics, and a handful of fields. I have a bunch of fields that are hidden right now that are helping do this return, for example. Basically, there's an attractor field that exists under the table that pulls any of these right up to here and then spits them out of the back of at the top of the thing. So a lot of fun.
And is this with Bullet Dynamics or with what's this with?
Bullet Dynamics. This is with the old system. It is. So this shows you what you could have done with Cinema 4D years ago. To show you a quick example of the dynamics systems available in Cinema 4D, I'll start with this. I've made it so my default template always has a floor plane in it. So I've got this floor plane right here. And over here, you'll see that it has a little tag on it that looks kind of like a stack of bricks. And that is the collider tag from the new physics system. If you right-click on any object and go to simulation tags, you'll see, I feel like that's probably very small and over to the side, but
it says, what does it say?
You can see this exciting list of tags that work with the simulation engine, which is pretty cool. So we have rigid body, cloth, soft body, balloon, cloth belts, ropes, belts, connectors, pyro, and on top of all of this, if you choose to, you can tell the particle systems to follow the fields and forces set up in this same system as well. You can also tell it to ignore them. But let's distinguish the two types of physics possible in Cinema 4D. We have bullet dynamics, which are also here, if you right-click, under bullet tags, where we used to be able to do rigid bodies, soft bodies, collider bodies, and ghost bodies. So, for example, if I have this floor plane, it has this simple tag for the new simulation engine, but I'm going to have it have two tags. I'm going to give it the old collider, which is a full brick wall, So don't confuse those two necessarily. And then I'm going to create a pair of balls here. Let's take a look at this. Thank you. So I'll put two spheres on screen, and we can add different tags to them. So I could add a rigid body tag to this one right here. That's the new engine. And I could go to this one.
That's the new rigid body dynamics?
That's the new rigid body. I could also go to bullet tags and add a rigid tag. You can sort of see the difference is one looks like a bowling ball, so like very blunt and simple. And the new one is kind of this nice round and shiny one, which is kind of cool. So it's new. So with these both enabled and with this ground plane having both of these two tags on it, if I press play, junk, they'll both fall and land on this plane here. And just like you may expect, if I take this plane and rotate it, they're going to react to it. So there are some things that people are very used to using the bullet dynamics system for, very simple like this. But the new dynamic system is really neat because it incorporates a lot of other ridiculous things.
So
cloth, etc.
What you're saying is all these other dynamics can work with the rigid body dynamics. Okay.
Love it.
That's all I wanted to know.
Exactly. So I'm going to create a new file because if you came to this this stream based on the title, we said we were going to cover vehicles, right? So
cars.
So one of the cool things about both dynamic systems in cinema is right up here under simulate, there are a handful of forces that can be used. Turbulence, wind, rotation, gravity, attractors, destructors, and also this little list of connectors. There's a fixed, an angular, linear, spherical, wheel suspension, and as you can see, there's also a spring and motor just below those. So a lot of these feel like components of a car to begin with. And so, yeah, I thought we'd start exploring with some of that. Anyone else want to contribute anything in the moment? I don't want to just...
No, I'm just thinking through...
Talk and talk away.
I'm thinking through like the kind of... So like we have the connectors and axles, but I'm curious if we can make something without using the connectors. If there's a way to... Like, I'm curious if like caveman logic can work in Cinema 4D where you have a cylinder through a tube that serves as the axle and then two tires on the ends, and you put two of those on a block, a rectangle, whatever, and just see if it rolls down the plane. I'm curious if we can get the right settings to make that work appropriately, before we even try connectors.
That sounds like a fun idea. So if we had something like I'm going to try to make that the right size to kind of interact with the ground. I threw these in a little symmetry object, so they're kind of like that. So yeah, I'm going to quickly turn these all into geometry here. And then let's place them here. One fun trick in the dynamic system is if you have three objects like this and you want them to act like one, you can put them inside a connect object like this. So I'm going to put all three of these in a connect object. And then on the connect object, I'm going to put my simulation rigid body tag. All right? So if I press play, it looks like nothing happens. But if I take the ground plane, that's, I think, what you were kind of hoping for, right, Seth?
Well, maybe. I'm curious. Can you see if those wheels are actually spinning? Because when I've done this, it looks like wheels are moving.
So let's put a little test on here. So it looks like these wheels at this scale are properly rolling.
Wait, can you click the wheel so it's selected so we can see its axis like spinning or moving?
Let's see, connect object. Oh, you know what? I wonder if it doesn't preview when it's a connect object like this. It's looking at its original starting point as opposed to where it's rolling to. But I'm going to say that
your
at
screen
this
share,
particular
by the way,
scale,
your
it
screen share is
does
playing
happen.
at like 5 frames per second. It's very strange.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I don't either. It's the whole reason we're on Skype, because I can't really tell if it's really spinning correctly or not. Because
Oh yeah,
you know.
Yeah, that boo to that. Because yeah, if I were to step through the frames,
Can you trust physics if you step through the frames?
the new dynamic system is deterministic, and what's so cool about that is if you haven't changed anything, the simulation will be exactly the same.
Oh, it's like God.
Isn't that amazing? Deterministic physics. It's also really nice because if you get a simulation you like, you can save that copy and or you can cache that copy to an external file and make sure you hold on to it if you would like.
So it looks like
but
they are
this
spinning.
set
Okay,
of wheels
cool.
are turning. But what if we wanted?
What if you put them into put them into a cylinder on a car?
We need a body here. All right. So let's check this out. I'm going to control move a copy of them over there. I'm going to scale up this ground plane for a second. And I'm going to also, just for clarity, go to my display and turn off the work plane so we can just see this ground plane that I have here. Ignoring the ground plane that I have here, let's say we've got these two things are wheels, and then we wanted to have something that was basically a car body that went around them is sort of what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Like if it were something like we're going to make a lot of primitive cars on this episode. So let's see. If you were building this, like as a little wooden toy or something like that, you would have this shape, and then you'd have a little channel for these to go through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a side view. I'm going to create 2 new cylinders just for a second. I'm going to press Shift S, which will enable snapping, so I can snap these cylinders right to the center of where I have. Whoops. I'll make a copy there. And with snap enabled, it just meant that it put them exactly where those 2 axes were. And now I can say that their radius should be a little bit more than the axle, right? So the axle is this smaller radius, and right now I'm going to punch a hole through this box that's slightly bigger. I'll use the old bool system for this. A lot of the time on this show, we're using the volume builder now because you can make really cool shapes with it. But let's just go really straightforward and use the old bool. All right, so I'm going to grab the 2 cylinders and I'm going to say connect and delete. So they just become one object. And now in the bool
does.
Say again?
I don't know if I know what the bool does.
Oh, bool means I'm going to put in a cube, and now I put in the cylinder to it, and bool does this.
It cuts the second thing out of the first thing.
Exactly. It's fun, and this bool actually got redone a little while ago to be a lot more efficient than it used to be.
Stupid question. But it creates surfaces inside where it cut it out, like it.
It actually does.
Okay.
So right now, there's this surface, and it's also created this little negative space surface. Right now, everything is still housed in the bool object, so you still have access to the 2 original objects. But if you take the bool object and press C to convert it to geometry, you'll see that what it does is it gives you the piece of geometry that is your cube with those 2 things cut out, and it gives you the cylinder, but only where it was intersecting in the first place. So now they line up very nicely. If you want, just for simplicity, I think I'm going to throw these into a connect object. Because if I put them in a connect object and have weld enabled right there, what it does is it makes sure that these seams are actually getting combined. I'm going to turn the tolerance down to something a little bit lower because I don't want I don't want too many of our points colliding. But what this
Michael,
does is it makes it one solid object.
Michael, can you bring back the Mike looks so damn focused comment from our pal Leduc? So everyone knows, first off, this is a two-part thing. Michael always looks focused while we're working. It's because he is working on one of the 8,000 things that he does at this company, usually. Like, he's either focused on what we're doing or he is literally like making like 3 Tuesday tips or at a time, like at the same time. So everyone should be impressed by anybody. It's Michael. Now the second part I love was that it was Luke and Dad's comment that it would be even more impressive that Hashi's actually doing it, commentating real time. Guys, this is something Hashi is like freakishly good at that I'm not sure everyone understands. The man can vamp as a teacher while doing the work. Like, we will be hanging out just working and he will narrate what he's doing to me. Like, no, that sounded bad, but I'll take it. He will narrate to me what he is doing to me and to cinema. And it's incredible. The man's incredible at what he does. So please always be in awe of both of them.
I'm blushing. Thank you.
Good.
So let's take this new little thing that we've created. We'll call it the body. And now we're also going to add a dynamics tag to it. So simulation tags, rigid body. So now a couple of things might happen. So one thing that I know about any physics simulation is that there are little tolerances and a number of calculations and substeps to make them work. Let's see what happens in this particular case. Play.
Tentacles complete.
Drink. So we have a little bit of an issue here. So this makes sense in the real world. This should have worked, but it didn't in our fake world. This is sort of what my bad segue at the beginning of the show was meant to evoke. Like, there are rules happening here that are preventing this from working the way we're expecting, actually. So one of them is if you go to the collider tag itself, you can see that on the dynamics and the collision area, there is a thickness factor, which shows how thick it is considering that object. And below that, the collision shape, which is as much as you want the collision to be the literal geometry going into the system, it's actually Cinema 4D doing an under the hood simplification of your system to increase performance. And so if it were something like the pinballs in the pinball machine, you could tell it that they are spheres and it can use a simple spherical calculation. Or if it's a box, it can use a box. In this case, it was trying to automatically guess what the mesh of this thing is. And if I were a physics engine, I would imagine that it's like a brick and that these holes are just detail, not meant to be a function of them. Yeah. So on the
detail
bodies
holes.
tag, I could go to the thickness and turn it down to something like 0.05 and convert the collision shape to be a triangle mesh. That means it'll put whatever triangle mesh feels like it's efficient enough to cover this. And then on these two wheel axles, I'm going to go to them too, and I'll change their thickness down to 0.05 as well. So we have less, basically decreasing the tolerance in a way, or increasing, whatever I'm saying.
Yes, both.
Let's play. What do we think will happen? Will it work?
Well, let's see.
Play. Ooh. Oh, it tried. It's trying. That's closer. Not bad. Okay. So there are a couple things that could happen. Like, maybe it's just because we should make the spokes thinner and more space for them to move through it. And all of those, it feels at this point like we're doing a lot of little things to modify the actual physics of everything to get them to work instead of being able to just rely on how it's set up from the get-go. So I'd like to propose an alternate for all of this.
Well, I'm curious, is your alternate going to involve connectors? Because I feel like we could still get it to work caveman style. Are we staying caveman style?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was going to introduce connectors because I think that connectors are kind of fun, but I was going to stick to a pretty primitive approach to them.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, real quick, we need to take a break right before we do that, so we're going to take a break real quick, and we'll be right back after this.
Hello, my name is Seth Worley. I'm a filmmaker and educator, and I'm here to tell you that no matter what anyone tells you, font choice isn't important. There are plenty of fonts that come installed on your computer. Why waste even a moment of your time searching for anything else when classics like Times New Roman and Arial Black are right there at your fingertips? Kerning, size, color, all irrelevant if the text says what you want it to say. Just center that puppy, scale it to your frame size, and you are ready to wow your friends. You know this is the real me, Seth Worley, because I wasn't forced to say I like Comic Sans or Papyrus. I mean, they have their uses and might actually be fine if you're pressed for time. But why sleep on a daring font like Impact when it's right there? If you want to make an impact in this town, use Impact. I've always said that. Now, if you don't mind, I've got to go jam out to some Collective Soul albums in my car. I've been Seth Worley.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody. I can't believe you said all that stuff, Seth.
I forgot I added the Collective Soul at the end. Let's go. Sorry. Okay.
We're back.
I wasn't ready for that. Yeah. What we're doing? Okay, you were going to do now something.
Yeah, I mean, so we're curious about if something like this would work. Let me see if I can simplify it even more for just a second. Let's take this right here and let's create a tube. All right. So tube will set the orientation to be X like that and do this. All right. Let's try that, and we'll say simulation tags rigid. Let's see what happens now. I'm very curious. It just spit it right out. Ridiculous. Oh, I guess actually, maybe that was my fault, because the wheels could fit through there. Let's try this. Let's see what happens if set up like this and play.
What?
It's still spitting it out.
Have you checked on thickness?
Let's go to its triangle mesh. Let's set it down lower like that. Let's also tell the connect object, instead of auto, to use a triangle mesh. And try this. Let's press play.
Hey! Okay.
There we go. And in fact, wait, let's just out of curiosity, let me undo hike back over to where we had this set up. All right. Here. Okay. It looks like things got misaligned a little bit. Yep. All right. These.
Hash, you're not on your first frame.
I'm not on frame 1. I mean frame 0. Dang it. Yeah. Remind me to do that, everyone. Don't mess with things in a deterministic system in the future. It'll alter the past.
That's literally in the Gospel of Matthew, first chapter.
It is. All right, we are on frame 1. Let me just check what I've done
here.
Part of
the Christmas story.
God. Okay, let's move this to right there. Is that proper? Okay, good. Everything's back where it is supposed to be. I had forgotten over here, instead of auto, to use triangle mesh. Triangle mesh is basically, a mesh trying to wrap around your shape pretty tightly. Calculation-wise, it's a little more intense because it's making representative objects for your object instead of looking at the notion of them. And in a lot of cases, the notion of them will work great and be faster. So that's what we generally set up. But when we're trying this, I think that we need something a little bit more intense. Let's try it. Let's increase the frame numbers. Well, we were able to do it.
Incredible.
Enjoy the majesty, everyone.
It just drives right off a cliff. Like, we didn't think through what would happen if we succeeded. It's like the CIA story when they would train cats.
It's like the most redneck thing. We're gonna do this great thing. Why? What's it gonna do? We're building it.
We're building
Just
it.
watch.
It's like the CIA cats that were trained back during the Cold War to like deliver like secret items and things, and then they were just promptly run over by cars the second they were let out. The inspiration for the film, for the pigeon joke in Spy vs. Guy.
Lovely. Yeah.
Okay.
Do yourself a favor. Watch the Seth Worley classic, Spy vs. Guy.
Do yourself
Watch
a
it with a
favor.
loved one, your children.
You know, do yourself a favor
Enjoy.
reminds me of another favorite Simpsons joke when they show the pollution commercial with the Native American who walks out and sees the like Taco Bell trash at his feet, and he looks up and a lone tear falls, and then a guy goes, "Do yourself a favor, don't turn around." You pan over to like nuclear waste, then he screams. I just think "do yourself a favor" is a really funny precursor for things. This has been Seth Retells Simpsons Jokes, one of our favorite segments on VFX and Chill. Hashi, we're going to work with some connectors now.
Yeah, let's work with some connectors. So if people are wondering, there's got to be kind of a better way to try to set up wheels that are responding to this physics system. You're right. So, for example, let's delete all of this. Let's go really, really simple for a second. Say we had something like a cylinder and we add the rigid body tag to it. There you go. You can see it's going to roll down the hill, which is pretty cool.
What kind of tag?
Rigid body dynamics.
Okay, just thanks.
So, if I copy them, then I have two that are going to go roll down the hill, which is kind of neat. And the simplest version of this I can think of would be something like, these two and a simple, some kind of simple car. It doesn't really matter. I want to introduce you to these things called connect objects. So let's go ahead and go up to simulate that we'd mentioned before and go to connectors, and we're going to grab angular. An angular connector is a lot like a hinge. And so you can see it's visually represented right here. Whenever you have it selected, it looks like this. So there's this spinny part, this spinny part. And right now, you can see that it's really drawn to the car body.
I never realized how much it looks like a toilet paper holder.
It does look like a toilet paper holder, which is perfect because that's sort of the goal. This is, this. So basically what you do with this object is it has to be arranged the way you would arrange a toilet paper holder. If you want it to spin in the direction that you intend, you have to set it up correctly. So
how complicated is your bathroom?
You have no idea.
You're like, it's not like a toilet paper holder. You have to position it in the way that you like. What? Sorry.
Really, I think that I'm referring in a way to the overhand or underhand toilet paper seating.
You mean the right or wrong way of
the right or wrong way. So to set up a connector, this hinge style one, what you want to do is you want to have it be in the correct orientation, and then you also want to try to center it along with some of your other objects. So again, I've pressed Shift S to allow it to snap into place. You could also go up here to, I think it's modes, snap, enable snap. So I'll put one connector there.
So we're doing this a la modes?
A la modes. I held down Control to create another copy right here. We'll snap it right to the center there. And now if I click on a connector object, it looks like my best guess is I created the connector object when I had the cube selected instead of all by itself. So it looks like both connectors already think of the cube as a parental figure. But in connector 1 that I placed next to this wheel, which was cylinder 1, all right, Oh goodness. So connector goes to cylinder 1 and connector 1 goes to just plain cylinder. That was silly. But here's what we're going to do. All right. This connector back here should have this cylinder in it. So we're going to go to the connector, and down here under objects, we're going to drag the cylinder to right here. All right. So now you can see this connector is connecting these two objects via this rotation. And now I'm going to go to this one and say, let's put cylinder 1 in here. And now everything should be hooked up together. All three of these objects are connected. And even though they have, well, you know, my cube doesn't have any kind of simulation tag. It should. Let's make it a rigid body also. There we go. Now if I press play, let's see what happens. Hey, look at that, everybody.
Now hang on. Are they actually spinning?
Ooh, it looks like we might just be sliding down the hill here. Wait. Let me put my tester pattern on it here. Okay, let's press play. They're rolling for a bit. Oh, but that one is that front wheel is rolling.
You know what you need?
That back one is sliding.
Go in there and type in,
wrong?
look for friction. I have a feeling that's what you want.
Oh my goodness. If I go to these tags right here, you can see friction right here. I forgot about friction. I'm so sorry.
You gotta never forget about Mr. Friction.
Don't you ever forget about Mr. Friction, baby. It's a physics term.
It's a physics term. I love that
So
song.
glad we got that
and the
figured
show. Like it was only 2 seasons. Can you believe that for all the adventures?
And we made that one in season 1.
We created it.
Oh wait, what did you say? I missed what you said. Sorry.
Oh, I just said, you know, a classic show. Like
Oh, classic
2
TGIF
seasons,
show,
which is
Mr. Friction.
surprising, but
Fun
so
fact.
many memories.
In trying to make that drop, the original idea was I had in my head that the theme song to Hanging with Mr. Cooper was Mr. Cooper. It took me hours to realize I was singing the melody to Sister Sister, and the Hanging with Mr. Cooper did not sound anything like that. So for those of you who might be in the same boat as me, I hope I saved you some time and reminded you that Sister Sister is how that song goes.
Excellent. I see a question in the chat from our
Agent 6039 is asking if this is recorded or if it's a live show. It's all pre-recorded.
Does this answer your question, Agent
It's all
6039?
pre-recorded. See, we knew you were going to say that.
You
man.
might think this is pre-recorded, but
You're wrong.
Amazing. All right, so I forgot about friction. So if you go to any of these tags, you'll see that in their collision settings, there are options like bounciness, stickiness, friction, thickness, so many wonderful words. And I'm going to go to friction. Let's try turning up the friction of the 2 wheel objects. So if we turn up the friction for them, that means that they will create more friction between them and whatever other surface. The other option is I could go to the ground plane and look at its friction, which is also pretty low. It's actually at it's 0.2. So maybe if I just increase the ground's friction to begin with, and I've already modified everything. Let's just test it out. Press play. Hey.
is it spinning?
I don't know if you can see this at the refresh rate, but we've
Hey!
got spinning wheels
Yay,
now.
spinning
Also, your
wheels.
refresh rate just turned up like crazy.
Yay. I like this.
Anna Red
We created
Sharma, are you asking how many drops we've got set up for our show? One of our hallmarks at VFX and Chill is our overproduced live streams, and we have many drops for you.
Did somebody say? No one even apologized. What the heck?
Well, and
Another
we
thing
should
worth
say
knowing.
Yeah.
Yes, we wrote an AI that can play these drops for us, which is wild.
You're wrong.
Brian Murray is very much enjoying the CC ball action drops on their stereo
CC
speakers
ball
in the car.
Oh man, yeah. If you don't listen to this, you
needlessly
know,
computer speakers.
I have to imagine
with
it
some
definitely.
with a good speaker setup. Yeah, he's got to find it on Spotify.
The
Something
car,
awesome with it.
here in Nashville, it's well known. You do the car speaker test when you're doing a mix I always fail the car mix test with these little beats that I make with my Beats machines, because I will hit play and it'll just be all bass. You'll hear nothing else, and it's like making your throat itch, and so I apologize.
Classic reaction to bass.
Classic bass reaction.
All right, so you know what this kind of reminds
Classic.
me of, and sticking with, like, I feel like we jumped around a lot just to explain what this was. Let's simplify this. I'm going to redo this with primitives. Okay, let's use some very primitive shapes.
Yes, primitive.
All right.
Yes.
So a
no
quick
joke
review.
there at all.
No jokes. So we're working with the new unified dynamic system, and we want to make a car that reacts to gravity. So what we're going to do is we are going to look at this this cool section that we have here. We have a Flintstones car, and we have Fred Flintstone, who I'm gonna place him in the Flintstones car for the moment, and we have a front and back wheel. So let's turn this into something that we can enjoy in the dynamic system. So the Flintstones car is made out of a bunch of different components right now, but I want to be able to use them as one object. So I'm going to go into here and say I would like a connect object that I can place the whole Flintstones car into. So now if I add a rigid body tag to it, it considers this whole thing one rigid body. Note that even though these are all in a little group under Flintstone car, putting this tag here will not do the same thing. In fact, it would, in this case, only be making the null have this tag and not the children. So that is different from the bullet dynamics system. You need to use a connect object to put multiple objects together. While we're here, let's go ahead and jump in and say rigid body tags for the front and back wheels. And then I'm going to create two connect objects under simulate connectors, angular, and right now you can barely see it, it's right there. I'm going to bring it up here. I'm going to rotate it to be in the same direction as the car. I'm holding down shift when I rotate, so it'll snap to 90 degrees. Then let's go to a side view of this highly technical world.
Why is it so funny to me inside of you?
It's so great. We'll move this to try to snap it somewhere toward the center of these wheels. We'll put one there, and then I'll hold down Control and move one over to here. All right? So right now, you kind of can't see them. They're a little bit hidden inside. If you go down to, if you have the connector selected and you go to Display, you can show their radius if you'd like, as a way to just sort of see where they are.
Does
and
that
you can
affect,
also check for them
does
to
that affect
always
the
be
physics?
visible if you'd like. It does not affect the physics. It's just the draw size.
Okay.
So distinctly, it's just drawing them that big. Really, it's just a spoke going right through there. So now that we know we have these two spokes in kind of the right place, we could go to, let's see, connector 1 is by the front wheel, right? So we're going to say, if we have that and we go to the object section of it, there are no objects in here right now. So I'm going to drag in the connect object and the front wheel to this one. And then I'm going to go to the other connector and I'm going to drag in the connect object, which again is the car, and the back wheel to it, like that. And now we have connected our front and back wheel nicely to the car. And if I were to, maybe I'll get rid of this little
Look at that incline.
this little ground plane and put Fred in a more interesting situation. Let's
What's
see.
at the bottom of that?
Right now,
You pull
not
back and
much.
it's just crocodiles.
You know what? I was going to search for more on-theme jokes to put right here, but this is as far as I got in this primitive setup.
Hey, it's as far as we need you to get.
One other important thing about these connector objects is you'll notice if I highlight them, you can see right here there's a checkbox for ignore collisions. And that's super helpful because obviously when you have 3D models, you're not working with a real world tolerance of things. And you found out in our first example that when you're trying to have things interact with each other and colliding, you run into a bunch of issues because there's so much calculation being done around just the spoke that it's wasting time for the overall sim. So ignore collisions checked by default, which is pretty cool. So let's
hey,
see
there's
what
a quick question a question from Anirudh Sharma. Size does not matter in rigid dynamics. It can matter. There's a mass setting that will make a huge difference in how some of the rigid dynamics operate, especially when it relates to items interacting with each other. There, you can change the mass of two objects, and so they won't balance. Like they balance the same, but then you make one of the mass bigger, and it would significantly affect it. Also affects interactions with other things like cloth and ropes and things like that. And to answer
I just assumed that was
Eric,
a joke. I didn't realize that was actually a question.
Aaron and on Moberg says, could you guys do an episode on volumetric
why did it make
big with Redshift spotlights to walk the possibilities to optimize such a project file since rendering says multi-instances won't work? I will say one quick way to do it is to just put a bunch of cones in your cloner to test things out and then like make up instances and swap it out for lights or something like that to really make sure. But for a more in-depth answer, there is a link in the chat to the Ask the Trainer, which is an event coming up on September 5th. There is a link on the page to submit your questions now to the training team, and they can answer those kind of more in-depth technical questions. Because this week we're doing physics sims. We may do an episode at some point of VFX and Chill on optimizing renders, but that kind of very specific question is perfect for Ask the Trainer. September 5th, I believe, is the next one coming up. So hop on there to the link in the chat and ask your question for them to answer on September 5th.
Although I'd hope to get to a place where we can actually talk about it because, I mean, the two of us are rendering in Redshift way more often than we ever did before. And who knows, maybe by the end of the season, we'll have made a tornado and been able to answer that question. To even understand
It's true. It's true.
Oh, nice hill.
All right.
Let's roll.
So let's play. All right. Hey, check it out. All right. So this did roughly what we expected, except what am I noticing when I look up close at these wheels? Let's press play again. There, it's sliding. It's sliding down.
Don't you ever forget it.
Forgot about
It's the friction, baby. It's physics
All
time.
right. Let's try just going to the hill and setting its friction at 1. Let's see if that's enough. Hey, not
There
bad.
you go.
All right, I'm doing some live bizarre camera work here, but one fun thing about working with 3D is that anytime you like, you could add a camera. I'll make sure that we're looking right through it here. And I can parent this camera right to, I can put it inside this connect object.
Okay, do this, and then I have a request.
Okay, so let's get a nice little position right here, and we'll press play.
Oh, you have
Oops,
to set
am I
your
not looking through
active
it?
camera to
Oh,
that
I
camera.
did.
See,
Okay.
there you go.
Look through this camera and be connected to the. Oh, does it need to be here?
Maybe so. No? Are you sure?
Oh, I'm doing the. It's because of the whole connected object issue.
Yep.
That's because it's multiple things. All right. In that case, here's what we're going to do. We're going to instead do a rigging tag, constraint tag, and we're going to constrain just the position. Actually, I'll check parent and say parent is the connect object. Does that work?
You need to parent it to one of some of the actual geometry.
Oh, interesting.
And it probably would be a good idea to put this camera below the stuff in the object manager because the rigid body dynamics are actually like a deformer. They're not moving the actual axes of the objects; they're just deforming the points. So you may need to have it afterwards to make it work.
Yes. So let's see if this is considering the deformed points. Oh no. Well,
There's a trick to it, and I forget what it is.
Well, we'll come back to that. I believe that let's see, what do we do? Auto reset, interact, transform. Ignore all that. Whatever. We'll deal with the camera in a bit. But yeah, here we go. We have a great actual rolling car now that rolls over this little bit. So not bad. It's kind of exciting. All right, so there were some questions earlier, I think, from Frigby, and I can't remember who else asked about inertia and about the mass of things and whatever and how that works. So everything is set to some kind of a scale within Cinema 4D, by default set to centimeters and default sizes for everything. I have no idea what size this model came in at, so it's just working at whatever settings it has to begin with. I thought that the wheels could use a little bit more independent friction. And also, if we wanted to, on the wheels, we could go over to mass. And there are two ways that mass and therefore inertia, et cetera, can be calculated in Cinema. And right now, they are set to a custom density, basically how much weight is considered distributed throughout this object, and in this case, it's considering it to have a density of about 1, which is not quite the same as saying you want it to have a custom mass, where you can say this specific thing is heavy. And both of these, you can experiment with them to your heart's content. I'll say, let's say the custom mass was 5 instead. Let's see what this plays like, how this reacts. See how it takes a little bit more to get going now, but it feels a little bit heavier? It's actually kind of cool. I like that.
That's really neat. Playing with physics is so much fun.
And another interesting thing you could consider is I'm going to take the hill and I'm going to put it in a subdivision surface to give it more divisions along the way. Let's see what that does. Let's see if that makes for any kind of a different trajectory or acceleration.
You would need to put the rigid body tag possibly on the subdivision surface.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Michael. Let's go back to the beginning. I was like, it felt a little similar. You know what? I don't know if I like it any better.
I don't know if your terrain is all that clunky though to really read it.
It really
it's
isn't.
It's pretty smooth anyway.
It's just a very simple little thing like that. So
I'll tell you what.
There we go. And also a reminder, it's not technically this geometry. It's right here. It's getting interpreted into a triangle mesh.
Every time.
Right there. Boom. So reminder, the specific geometry isn't what's affecting it. It's how it's doing it.
It's
anyway.
how you use it.
I see that we're coming up on the hour. I think that we're about ready for another break.
We're ready for another break, and afterwards I've got 2 things that I would like to have happen, and I will tell you what they are right after the break. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome to VFX and Chill. I am Hashi, and floating over there is my friend Seth.
It's me, Seth. Hashi, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing well. Seth, did you get a new haircut? There's something different about you.
You know, you can't put your finger on it, can you? This finger.
No, I can't, I literally can't put these fingers hardly anywhere.
Sure you can. Here, I'll help you. Hang on. I'm coming over. You can put your finger on my hair.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay.
What, is this uncomfortable?
You know, frankly, I feel a little bit uncomfortable in the quantum realm, and this may have been a poor choice.
I'll tell you, there are parts of me right now that are in the quantum room with this suit. I'm not a fan. You want to just change back into our original clothes?
Yeah, let's change back.
Let's do it.
Which button do I press? It's one of
just derobe. You do it all the time. It's good.
Perfect.
Here we go.
Welcome back to VFX and
We're
Chill.
back.
We are doing some fun things with physics. Now, you made two kinds of car rigs. You made one that was primitive using caveman methods. You made one using some connectors, specifically some that were called bop bop beep bop boop. I just consulting my notes. You did the hinge connector axle, right?
Yeah, angular hinge. It works as a spoke.
So,
But yeah, constrained to one axis of rotation.
of course, that's 100% what I was going to say. So, Michael, before we move on to the next thing on the thing, can you share your screen? I would love for you to show us you were saying there is a car rig already in Cinema 4D?
Indeed, there is. If you go into your asset browser and type in the word car and maybe filter it to just models, scroll down, you see there's a few different cars here. And if you load, say, this hot hatch into your scene, you'll see here I've got a hot hatch. And you'll notice there's controls all over this thing. So I say, let's select, I don't know, this control here, and you rotate it, and we got the wheels turning, very handy. You've got controls up here at the top. This is for like overall tilting. You got this control here for body roll. You got all kinds of controls for the car. Just for that, for like hand keyframing stuff, you've got these. And you gotta select you got this like body like that way. Tons of controls here for your car, front, tilt, all that kind of stuff. But not only can you hand keyframe stuff, you can also, under this master controller here, you can set a ground collision to be like any geometry object in your scene. So I've got it set to be this landscape here. So if I move it on this landscape, you'll see that you'll notice as I move this car, we can move a little closer, the wheels are rotating and it's following it's following the geometry.
Wait a second.
Yeah, so you could take this rig, swap out all the parts that are in here, because you can look inside the car model here, and you can swap out put the constraints on your own thing, put your own model in here, and or just use this for learning purposes to learn how to rig stuff. But not only do you have those things that you can do, there's also, you notice here there's a path, so I could say, hey, put this spline control in here, and hang on. Yeah. So
what does the spline that you have look like? What is the spline?
Well, it's just let me turn off the landscape object here. It's just kind of a little thing. So
okay, wait, but that spline, that's
real quick.
Is it designed to follow that landscape, or is it just flat?
No, I just randomly drew a spline out. So if I hang on, let's put this car back to like world 0 here, and drop that. Here's what it looks like. Drop that path into here. It should behave itself. There we go. Now that I've stopped moving it all over the place. All right, so we've got it on our path, and I could say, set some keyframes for the position on this path. Nope, forgot to tell it.
It's a linear path, just right down there to show like whereabouts, but it's driving on that terrain in that same path.
Yeah,
Look at that.
Hang on, if I turn that off and turn the path visibility, it's just a flat path. But with the landscape there, it'll go drive over the landscape. Oop, I forgot to set the keyframe.
Now, wait a minute. Hashi, isn't this exactly what you were about to show us?
It's possibly exactly what I'm about to show. But
whoops.
The cool thing about it is I feel like with this kind of technology, we may be closer to the day where we can start to see virtual cars in car commercials instead of them having to film expensive ones on real sites all the time.
That's another episode, by the way, I think we should do, not this week, but another episode. I would like to take real car commercials and replace all the cars that we know are digital anyway with other cars, random things.
Oh, absolutely.
Submitted. Another episode.
And if you're just tuning into the awareness of visual effects in the real world, you haven't seen a real car in a commercial since 2016.
Even before that, I'd say.
Look, like the wheels are turning to make it follow the path of the spline and everything. Like it's already here for you. It's bouncing. It's doing all kinds of fun stuff. So
Michael,
if you just
that's incredible.
Yeah.
What were you going to say? Go ahead.
Moving for you. It's great. So there you go. There's yet another way to get your vehicles rigged in Cinema 4D. Now this isn't using any real physics. This is all using the character object and the character animation tools and Espresso to make things happen. So there's no actual physics happening here, but you've got control over drift and all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, there you go. It's a fun way to do things.
It just goes to show you that there is. It just goes to show you that there is always money in the asset browser. Guys, what are we doing next? Let's talk about this.
That's a good question. Well, one thing that I wanted to mention, just to kind of briefly expand on the idea of inertia and mass and stuff, I can show it off probably pretty quickly, is that there are some other connector objects that we haven't really talked about. So, for example, say we had something else. I'm adding a rigid body tag to it. I'm also going to say that the mass of this thing is probably, I don't know, it is heavy, I believe. So if this has a rigid body tag, for example, just play this. It's going to fall and interact a little bit with Fred's vehicle there. Kind of neat. But say you wanted to have, received this mammoth rib at a drive-through or something like that, and you want it to be part of this this car object, but you also want, individual control over it. So I'm going to leave the car object just the way it is. Let's just call it the car here. And if I wanted to, I could have this separate object over here, and I could go up to simulate connectors and go to the fixed connector tag. And what's nice about that, I selected it while I had the ribs selected. So now it knows that the mammoth rib is one thing that I want connected to something else in a fixed relationship. And that other object is this car right here. I'm going to drag that into there. The beautiful thing about this is now you still have that ability to check the box for ignore collisions. So if you wanted to, you could add things to your vehicle that you want to weigh into the physics sim, but you don't have to worry about collisions with these multiple objects together, but you would have some separate control over this. So let's press play now, and you'll see, oh no! Look at that. So when it comes to, inertia, weight, and weight distribution, a giant mammoth rib outweighs these two giant stone wheels, just as it would in the real world.
Fun fact, Andrew Smith,
actually,
I'm original...
starting to think that actually isn't true. I feel like we're cheating just to pay homage to Hanna-Barbera, because
Andrew Smith
really,
says, the scene in the opening of the Flintstones with the ribs was really great animation. And not a lot of people know this, but Andrew, fun fact, was animated in Cinema 4D.
Animated in Cinema 4D. Incredible. So if I turned up the mass of these wheels to higher the way they might be in real life, if I press play now they are heavier, and allowing Fred to take this home. Though, as we know from the documentary footage of the show, we have to use the evidence we have, which is that these are not as heavy as a mammoth rib. So, really, if we want to be true to the Hanna-Barbera verse, they've got to be
on this show.
Less heavy.
We always want to be true to the Hanna-Barbera verse.
There we go. Sorry, Fred. Oh.
It's so just teach him a lot at work. They give him a really good ribbing.
Damn it, Michael!
And while we're talking about other ways that you could modify stuff to work with the same unified geometry, I'm going to go to the car and look at this object here, the canvas. I'm going to drag the cloth out of there for a second. So what if I went to the canvas and went to the simulation tags and said, what if it were cloth? And pressed play.
What if it were cloth?
Oh, shit.
If it were cloth, look at that.
Well,
it falls right through to the ground like that. Okay, so that's weird. But I think that everyone knows what I want to do with this, which is I would like this this cloth to interact with our system here. So we could take this this object that has a cloth tag on it, and I'm going to go to, and there are a couple ways I could do this. We're going to, let's try this. I'm going to add these little teeny tiny cubes like that. Let's look at the attachment points that kind of happen with this cloth and this simulation. Actually, I don't know if I even need this. What if I went to this cloth and then went over to simulation tags and connector right there. If I do that, you can see down here in the tag properties, there's a create. You start with a search radius, a maximum number of connections, and you check other objects. So I'm going to say create, and it's hard to see, but if we go in close, wherever the radius of its distance was shorter than, that 0.39 inches in this case, it created these little attachment points. So it's attaching the cloth at all of these areas. Look at that, just that one tag, and it's now connected. So if I press play,
Might need to lessen some of the mass and whatnot. Like, hey, it's working.
there's definitely some, this cloth is probably not this heavy. Let's go to the cloth and we'll say, oh, the bendiness is probably less. It's probably a, kind of more rigid caveman era cloth. But very quickly, just using that connect tag, we've been able to say this is cloth and it can connect to whatever is near it at the beginning. And now we've got
Which is so good.
a car, we've got cloth, we have this thing hanging off the side, and they're all working together to bring us the greatest stuff you can imagine, which is
And
pretty
now,
cool.
speaking of the greatest stuff we can imagine, Ewan Hunter says, Action Movie Dad, I'm a really big fan. I've been watching your vids since I was 3. So,
Oh my goodness, thank you. It's great to see you. And also, if you're seeing this on the Action Movie Dad channel, I would appreciate it. Up at the top of the chat, we put a link to our new channel, VFX and Chill. We would love you to come over there and subscribe there. It would mean so much to me. Thank you so much. Just because I can't help myself, I feel like I'm kind of curious. There are so many things that work with our cool physics engine that I was wondering what would happen if, just like in caveman days, if you had, a barrel that was on fire.
yes,
Simulation
they had
tags.
lots of barrels they had back then, and frequently on fire.
Classic. All right, so press play.
Wait,
So we can
okay, so
set,
the
we
whole
can set a
barrel
little-
itself was on fire, not just
The whole barrel.
not
is on
just the
fire. It's a
contents of the barrel,
of fire.
but it was a wood barrel.
No, it's a wood barrel on fire. Why would it be any other way? I'm going
Sorry,
to go.
I just read Luke and Dad's comment that made me laugh.
Oh, what is that?
I've been watching
he
since
said
I
he's
was
watching
3.
since
I'm 50 now.
Well done. Well played. Well played. All right. So what if, Fred's car, let us say happened to be full of fuel. I'm going to give it a fuel tag. I'm going to set this barrel on fire.
Whoops,
and then
all
I'm just gonna-
fuel.
Whoops, all fuel.
And it's just cereal
Whoa.
filled
Oh,
with
what did
fire.
I do?
What the?
I go back. Oh no, what have I done? Okay. Did I give it pressure object? See, what did I do?
Is it Mr. Friction?
Interesting. I have no idea what I did. What if I just gave
What if you fall?
simulation tags pyro fuel to just Fred in the connect object? Oh, interesting.
Oh!
That's something I'm going to have to look into.
He's
No
just
idea
like
if it
full
is the-
Spider-Verse glitching now.
What I'm guessing that is coming from is from the pyro simulations fluid force factor. That's my guess. I'm going to see if I turn that to 0,
Fluid
what happens. Simulation tags, pyro fuel. Because pyro fuel isn't supposed to be doing anything. It's just if it runs into something that is combusting. There we go. It was the fluid force factor. All right.
Fluid force.
So, let me go back to the beginning here. I meant to put this tag on the front wheel. I just want to see. I don't know if I have enough frames. Right now, I've made it so the front wheel happens to be full of fuel. Simulation is running
As
a little bit
most
slower now
wheels
because
are.
we're obviously simulating multiple factors. I'm trying to account for the slant because of the weight of that rib.
Story of my life.
Rolling down the hill.
Oh, it's almost there. Give it more
Careful,
frames,
Fred. Careful, Fred. Hop out of the car. Duck. Roll.
Give it more frames.
No, cameraman, get on it.
No,
Oh,
almost.
oh,
Give
that
more frames.
surprises me. Is there enough frames? No.
Add more frames now.
Yeah. I did it in time. Okay, interesting. Darn it, my hilarious show off something that I wasn't prepared to show didn't work.
You don't say.
Darn. Well, that's VFX and Chill for you, baby. What did I do? The fuel was enabled, continuous fuel. Don't matter. We're going to ignore that for right now and figure out something later. But anyway, the point is Fred Flintstone. Let's delete our pyro-related objects for the moment. And what should we move on to next? Are people curious about that vehicle rig that we have? What do we think?
Well, I'm so sorry. I forgot to post about our episode, so I was just doing it. What'd you say there?
Should we take a quick break and then maybe come back to that vehicle designer that Michael was mentioning?
I think that's maybe the smartest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. We'll be right back. Welcome back.
Welcome, everybody.
What were we talking about?
Well, we were talking about Michael actually just showed off our cool vehicle rig that is available in Cinema 4D. You can go to the asset browser right now and grab some of, and grab any of our little templates for it right here. So if you go to the asset browser, you can just search for car, and you'll see that down here there are a handful of cars that will import with the vehicle rig attached to them. One thing that, Michael showed off all of this, but it's really cool that if you're using the controls for this object, you can see really cool things like if I'm moving it, the wheels just roll. It's so weird to see it work already. So if you had your own vehicle and wanted to set it up with this, you could actually do this all from scratch, and it isn't that hard. Should we try doing that together? What do y'all say?
I think we should try absolutely doing something together. Hashi, could you first try doing something by yourself, which is repeating what you just said to me? I'm sorry.
Perfect. So if you ever want to play with the car rig, you can load in one of these awesome ones that's already set up for you and use them, animate them, and replace components of them with your own car if you'd like. But if you happen to be starting from scratch, I was thinking that this might be a good opportunity for you to learn sort of how you might do that. So
right.
I'm going to do
before you get too far in there. If anyone is interested in this car rig, there's a bit of a tutorial for you there, linked in the chat. So if you want to go much more in depth in the car rig that's built into Cinema 4D, go ahead and after this episode is done, you can hop on that link to go more in depth.
Look at that. There's learning that can happen during the show and after. It's all about whatever you want to do during your learning journey.
And for those who are like, wow, brand new car rig is great. This was introduced in S24, so a lot of years ago. This is
1924.
It's been around, which is wild.
So somebody mentioned something. Well,
yes.
Yeah, let's just talk about it.
Yeah.
This is the first part of a two-part car surprise, two-part episode. We would like to do a Pinewood Derby. Hashi and I were just one of the first things we thought about when we were messing with car rigs this week was like, we should race these cars. We should make tracks and race these cars. So next week we're going to be making tracks for the cars this week, and like for the rest of this episode, and then I think between this episode and next episode, Hashi and I are each going to make our own cars, and then Michael. Oh, what was our plan? We had a whole plan where Michael was going to be the judge of best design, and
I
then we were
think the
going-
chat could kick in some opinions as well.
Yeah, Michael in the chat.
That's true. We would like to go head
Michael
to
in the
head
chat.
using the restrictions of the physics system somehow next week. So I think what would be good to do is we need to sort of lay down some ground rules for what our wheel system is. I think that, Adrian, I love your avatar because it makes every comment of yours feel ironic and sarcastic
ironic.
at the same time.
And
Wow.
yes, Adrian, it does look like we stole the idea from you. I have no way to prove except tons of documentation. I don't know how it triggered that, but we absolutely, I promise, thought of this before you said it, but it's okay.
And
What? Hang
we
on,
also-
go back to what he just said.
What? Oh, this? The year they won the Pinewood Derby was the year they stopped giving out trophies.
Okay, this is the kind of
Wednesday
stuff that
through
happens to
Friday.
my daughter all the time. My middle child, I won't get too into it, but I'm telling you, this is the kind of stuff that happens. The girl read every book in existence one year, and so that she could get a brick on the wall at school that she got to design and paint. Like that was the reward, and like a pizza party. Okay, COVID happens that year, and she doesn't get the brick. The next year they do it. Other kids get bricks. That's the kind of thing that happens to her constantly. And so I feel for you, Adrian. And you know what, Adrian? If you
Put the name
now,
of the school in the chat. We're going to start a campaign.
if you give us your public address in the chat, please don't do it. Please don't. This is a joke. We will send you a VFX and Chill Pinewood Derby trophy. We will not. We don't have them. We don't have the budget for it. Don't do it.
But back to the Pinewood Derby discussion. Michael Pollack made this joke earlier. Michael, you and I are very similar.
We thought of Pinewood Studios.
I made a joke thumbnail for the episode where it was a picture from Pinewood Studios and just in paint, red ink crossed out Studios and wrote Derby underneath it. I sent that to Seth and Hashi in our chat earlier in the week. So yeah,
I love that you
very
flew to
good
the
joke.
UK just for that gag too.
I think that might be our logo too. I'm just going to make that into our logo with a little bit of dressing. Right. So we just got to make, we got to design our own cars on this rig. Are there any rules to this?
do.
Hash?
Let's come up with
Avatar.
some.
The avatar
we should
really
have some
does work
rules.
with any comment that Adrian says. It's so funny.
Adrian, make a really truly genuine compliment, and we'll pop it up there and see how the sincerity stands.
He's going to be like, my dad died or something, and it's going to still read.
No. What have we done? So yeah, let's do that. You know what? There are a lot of tutorials about this about the vehicle rig. Go do them. Go check it out. It's cool.
Do it.
But what we need to figure out is, the thing about the vehicle rig is it's really really neat, but it is very set on a path. So for example, you could push something like that all the way to this state. Look at that.
Whoa! Flags!
Here's the vehicle rig in action. And it's wonderful and it's exciting to watch, and it can work with the other dynamic systems like cloth, as evidenced by the flag. It's also being filmed by our little mini cameraman system, which if you've not seen what happens when you add the motion camera setup, you need to, because this is the behind the scenes of this. Look at this. This cute little guy.
He's so cute. Hey, speaking of cute, where's that rig, the car project file?
That is in Hashi Show under 3D stuff.
Hashi Show, what's it called?
It is called Character Build Rig 9.
My favorite. Make available off.
While you look for that, John, with a not very entertaining avatar, asks, is an RTX 3080 Ti or a 3090 enough for Redshift?
Yes.
Depends on what you mean by enough. Will it work?
It'll be fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Will it be fine? Yes. People have used those cards in production for a couple of years now.
I
Will it be
run
as
all of this stuff on the show on a 2080, and yeah.
Yeah, keeping in mind
So,
these physics sims all run on the GPU as well. So yes, that is enough for Redshift to work. Is it fast enough for what you're going to do with it? I don't know. What do you mean by enough? It would be faster if you had 3090s, or 2 4090s, or 20 Quadro whatevers. But
You're not saying
will it be enough
anything
for it to work?
anymore.
Yes, it'll be enough for
Yeah,
it to work.
and there are a lot of things that you can do when it comes to Redshift in terms of optimizing your render times. A nearly infinite number of things that you can do, depending on your setup, trying to make it work the best for you. Because in the end, it's all cheating to get pixels on the screen in the end. So, whatever works is really great. But if you're using 8K textures for something like a sticker on the side of your car, just double check those.
Hashi,
maybe-
which
maybe
project
don't.
file? I'm sorry, I meant the base rig, not the flag rig.
Oh, that. All right. So let's see. Since here, let's reveal some of the
Inner workings of the.
inner workings. All right. So here are all the files that we made during the week in 3 folders. I think that it is car base. Let me just double check.
Why don't you're in the project file. Can you just save me a version with my name?
Let's see. Well, no, I don't have the proper one open. I think it's this.
You did. You just did. You were showing it to me. That one.
Wait, this one? This one is to show off the vehicle builder.
Oh, I can just use the flag one then, I guess.
So what you should use is there's a file called carbase03.
Oh, okay.
So what's kind of cool about that is it's just a simple plane, and
It's
it
a
has
car,
connector
Hush.
objects to these. It's a car. You've seen cars. You know cars. It's
Life
this.
is a highway.
And if you watched today's episode, you know that if you want to add additional components to this car, you could do that with a fixed connector tag. And the reason that I want to do that, Seth, is
Why?
one whole aspect of all of this that we haven't really mentioned yet. And maybe if I go back to
Whole aspect.
this simulation here, I'll go to the cloth object as an example. If you go to the cloth tag under forces, there's a little section that is called drag and lift. And I think that in the true spirit of a Pinewood Derby style race that depends on physics, we need to take vehicle shape into consideration, which means we need to take drag into consideration for our
Now-
drag race.
Adrian is telling us that his nephew won the Pinewood Derby with a Minecraft-themed car, and that apparently proving that squares are pretty aerodynamic, which is surprising. I think I've told the story on the show, but when I was a kid, made a pickup truck, and I painted it to look like a red pickup truck with a cowboy in it, and it was so detailed, so proud of it. I knew I would win. I knew I would not win the race because of aerodynamics, because everyone else was doing these like crazy sharp, Lambo-shaped cars. But I was going for the design award because I'm Seth Worley, and the truck was second place. The first place one was the kid who wrote Boy Scouts all over his.
Ah, come on.
Yeah. So if you
Oh,
show up next
Pandering
week and
can't
you've
be.
written Maxon all over your car, we're done. Dunzo.
What? No.
You're on my Dunzo list.
No. All right. So some design requirements. I think that all the components of our physical car, so whatever the connect object is or anything connected to it, on the rigid body tag, we also need to go to forces and agree that the drag amount is 20%,
Okay.
something like that.
20%.
So 20%. So whatever your car is needs to be 20%. That means that the shape of it is going to affect
Influence,
things. So I've turned up the drag on this, and I turned it up actually on the cloth in here.
It blows up
And
into
so-
fire. There's not even a pyro tag. It just lights on fire.
I also think that there should be some component, just a gentleman's agreement of, reasonable amount of geometry included in here because
Cloth should probably have some lift, by the way.
Good point. The cloth tag right here under forces.
I just imagine turning lift up a little bit and it just flies away. Andrew, we are not going to recreate the physics of that Ferrari scene because that is an upsetting scene. If anyone has seen
lift,
it,
it's trying
really
to
impressive.
catch the air as it moves. It's so cool. And also, as you can see over the course of this, it's slowing the car down like a parachute.
Okay.
It used to be to the bottom of the hill at 140 frames, and now it takes more. So
what's our drag? We want 20%. Our lift.
I actually kind of like this. This hill is a reasonable one, I think, to maybe test our rigs on, because I think that the actual track we shouldn't have access to until the day.
I agree.
But we're going to count on the scale being the same. So since this car base 03 is our car, it would be only fair if we got to test ours a little bit. And I'm gonna create a ground plane in here.
What size is this thing? Are you making it like real world Pinewood Derby size or
put a person in there.
Size?
What's the size? I believe we were sticking to Pinewood Derby size.
So we did a lot of testing throughout the week. So here's a person.
Doing Pinewood size.
Here is the thing.
This is how big the cars are actually in James Bond films.
Which is wild. Let me make sure that's actually the.
People don't know that Pinewood Studios is just a little bitty studio.
Car base shape.
Filled with Boy Scouts.
It's
weird.
All right. This is always our favorite part of the show is Hashi looks for files. Actually, I gave you the wrong one. We were doing some testing over the week and found out that if we are going as small as a real Pinewood race, it means that we need to start turning up physics settings for the default project in Cinema 4D, and that feels annoying. Like we won't, if you wanted to build a new project or if you wanted to test something out, you wouldn't be able to test it unless you kept on opening up our agreed upon physics system.
So what am I opening?
So you're going to open up
the names of the things.
We can certainly figure this out off the show too. I think it is.
The name is in the tab right there. If you can just read it in the Cinema 4D.
I think car base whole body 02.
Okay. While you look for while you make sure that's correct, I just want to make sure we say hello to Jamie, who says hi in the chat. So,
welcome,
hello.
Jamie. I missed your band concert during the earlier part of the show, and I hope it was awesome.
Oh no, you did a real Schwarzenegger jingle all the way, like dad move.
I did, but I'm excited, and I want to hear how it all went.
We all want to hear. Bring Jamie on the show. Bring Jamie on the show.
Jamie, you're welcome to come crash in here if you would like. Yeah. This car base.
This is a cool, fun car.
One right here. Yeah, it's kind of neat, right?
So
this was actually in the early stages of
body.
testing out what would happen if we used, like all rigid body tags on these things, and could not get it to not just bounce all out of the place. So, yeah, use this one as a base. And
I like just hitting play when there's no ground plane. It's like, let's see if it works. Like, what if real cars were that way? You built a real car and then you forgot to put a ground under it and it just fell into the abyss.
Amazing. That's why you should go to engineering school before doing any of this stuff.
Oh, so I want to bring in that. Hold on. I remember I saw how to do this week. And it is in the shoot. I did it earlier this week.
Create.
I'm going to go to create, and I'm going to add a. What is it?
I think it is. It's create and then down at under extra.
Is
Create extra.
Material? XREF, that's right. So I'm going to add an XREF. And this XREF, I'm going to then go in and be like, hey, and where's that track, the Flintstones track?
So the Flintstones track is currently in good. See how
the
many
version
files
without
I have
the
open
Flintstone
now?
in it? Just the track?
So just the track, I have not made one yet. But let me make one that is sized properly for this car base.
And while you look for that,
Say hi to anyone?
Oh, hang on. While you do that real quick, I'm going to answer
Hey,
Vision
everybody.
IP's question. Oh, hi, Jamie.
Jamie!
Vision IT says,
Welcome.
hey,
In
short
real
question.
life.
How long does it approximately take to make a 3D runway model and with real clothes as an absolute newbie?
Wait, we did this.
Yeah, we did this.
Wait, what is it?
While kind of as an absolute newbie, it's going to take you a minute. Making clothes in Cinema 4D is a little bit tricky.
But wait, Michael, you made a model walk down a runway. I remember this. Did I dream this?
I mean, I didn't. No, I did. I was doing during one of our mashup things. Getting the clothes right takes a lot of deep knowledge of Cinema 4D and just 3D modeling in general. Plus, you're going to want to learn how to do lighting and texturing, and there's a whole lot of stuff that's going to take you learning basics stuff before you actually get into making a 3D runway model and all that other stuff. So it's really hard to answer that question. If you just grab a Mixamo model off of Adobe's Mixamo site, bring it into Cinema 4D, and look up some basic.
Look up some what?
Really right. Could take you a while.
So we're screwed, is what you're saying. By the way, I really like Hashi Motors. That's great. I'm going to work
Hashi
that
Motors.
into the name. Now, what's mine then?
That's a good question. I'm going to make a test ground plane for us that you can import.
Thank you.
I'm going to make it kind of scale to this. So here's what we're going to do. And this is kind of a fun way to do stuff. You can, make a plane, whatever. I mean, there are many, many ways you could do this, but this is what I did the other day.
Or a car.
So let's just make a plane that big, and we're going to move it over here, and then we're going to go to press C to convert it to geometry. And because I want us to have a fixed thing that we're using. So let's grab all of this side of it right here, all of these points. And then I'm going to go to soft selection and check enable. And that means that if I turn up the radius of this, you can sort of see that if I move these points, it sort of creates a little shape right there, which is cool. And there are many ways you can do the fall off. Right now, this is linear. You could do a dome fall off bell shape, which would mean as I move this down, it does what we saw in our other example. So look at that. So you can see it's a gradually increasing ramp. I'm going to turn up the radius, and so those go all the way to the front here. So there's some initial drop and then a little bit more. So we can test on this track. And I'll just save this ground plane separately. Let's copy this. Let's paste it here and get rid of that plane. And we'll put the simulation collider tag on it. And we will call this, do we have a next week folder yet?
We will in 1 second, and here it comes.
Look at this, all this crazy efficiency. Right, let me know what it's called as it appears.
Wait, no.
Actually, I should know. It'll just be right in order. Do.
Well, hang on.
Do.
We got it to work.
We have so many
So
amazing
what are you
automated
covering
things.
next week? Pinewood, Derby. And done. And I believe it created the project right there.
All right. So let me just quickly refresh here. And whoops. Back. Pinewood Derby. Yeah. Okay, it's there. All right. I'll put it in elements, 3D stuff, and we'll call this the ground plane official. All right. We can do our tests on this ground plane. All right.
Sophia needs a drop. We don't have a drop for Sophia, but we'll make one.
Oh, we don't.
And we'll make a Mando drop as well.
Ooh, do a matchbox loop-to-loop.
Is that Mando's real username? That's
my
really
beautiful,
great.
that is my beautiful wife, Mandy, who has the best handle, which is your mom plays Mario. So yeah, please, that is amazing. A loop-to-loop, I think that has to be one of our challenges for next week, is trying that out. We'll figure that out. And also, yesterday we celebrated our 15th anniversary, which is really awesome. I love you, sweetie.
And Hashi,
thank you for.
I made for you a 5-minute video with its own song and lyrics and home video footage from both of your families. So let's take it away and enjoy it. Here we go.
You're wrong.
I didn't. I'm sorry.
Frakes, come on.
Come on, Frakes. See, this is why you're a better friend than I am. A real friend would have made a memorabilia of your marriage. Memorabilia? That's not.
It works.
You should say something instead of
For those who missed it, there was a very lovely congratulations on your acceptance into the Toronto International Film Festival movie that Hashi made for Seth. That did indeed feature footage of Seth as a young person making movies, and it was very sweet.
And
not AI generated.
Right now. We're not. But I feel like this is kind of an exciting jumping off point. We're driving off point. Yeah, for an exciting gearing up for a crazy competition.
Richard gearing up.
And Richard gearing up. Damn it, I missed it.
What do you say? The test track works. And so does the car.
Works? Excellent. Did you use XREFs to do that?
I did. I used an XREF to bring it in.
Amazing. So I think that's the way we're going to do it for the show. If you don't know, an XREF is an object that you can place in your object menu that refers to a different Cinema 4D project, which is pretty cool. So you can do that.
In theory, someone could block out the basic shape for a model, and then the animator or the lighter could start working on that, and then later on just replace that point that XREF to the latest updated model, and all of the work from both artists will then be brought together in a happy marriage.
Exactly.
Hooray.
So that's our plan. So Seth, the main thing that we can do with this this car base is we can obviously replace whatever this mesh is. We just need to make sure that, as we learned today, that the connector objects are connecting to the new body, whatever it is.
Oh my gosh, Hashi, you made a chase cam?
Oh yeah, I did. Are you showing that off? Go big on your screen. I attached a handful of cameras to the body on this.
POV? You have a POV cam?
Why not?
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
freaking
baby.
genius. This is going to be great next week. Oh, this is thrilling.
Look at that. Woo! All of the fun things that you can do with 3D models.
This is going to be so fun. Oh, we're going to go off the track. Are we?
Maybe
not.
It gets a little unstable there. It's a small scale, so little bumps do a lot to the size and mass of something like this.
It's
so just like in a real Pinewood Derby. So
we slowed down before we went off the track. Way to go.
Crazy. Well, we'll play around with it. We can make some different tracks that have different options and things that we've... Oh, how about this? How about if we build any tracks for each other, we can use this car as the model to make sure it runs in that track.
That's smart.
But not our own vehicles, maybe? We'll figure out a way to make it fair.
We'll figure out a way.
It'll be fun.
We'll have fun next week.
I feel like that's sort of our show for today.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is our show. Everybody, please do us all... Why does it keep doing that? Please do us all a big, massive favor and subscribe to our channel, youtube.com/VFX and Chill, and tell everyone you know to sign up for it. And Michael, give it a little push so it goes back down. My button's not working. And thank you.
Perfect. And if you want to contribute to the show, we have a lovely suggestion box, which is should be available in the description of any episode that you can just go right into and add your ideas, add requests like creating a runway model with clothing, or I can't remember what other suggestion we had this during the episode. Redshift requests and things like that.
Redshift requests.
Throw them right in there.
No one's using it. Go in and make a request. Get it in there.
Use it. You can also submit your own work if you want us to critique it on the show. So do that too.
Do that.
Yes, we'll be likely be doing a VFX and Grill episode at some point this season if enough of y'all submit stuff.
So do it. Come on. Everybody, this was a wonderful episode. And boys, I'll see you next week. Well, I'll see you all throughout the week, but we'll see all of you next week. Thanks so much. And goodbye. Please remember, everyone, in this week, do not forget Mr. Friction.